part of this early networking process is also campus recruiting, which can be beneficial for international students as well. What would you say, of course, as well as domestic, but what would you say how to get the most outcome of this campus recruiting? What would be the best approach to land an internship?
So when you say campus recruiting, do you mean in terms of like job fairs at your university?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So again, when you go to before the job fair, read through the description. So usually they'll send you an email of what roles are available. So if you go to the lines that have roles available to your current status. But again, once you go, make sure once you meet the employer, shake their hand. I know you're going to be nervous. If you're international and English may not be your first language, just come off confidently, because the reality is it's extremely important. Your English may not be perfect, but just to show that you're confident enough to speak in English to them is extremely important. Shake their hands and know something about the company, and they're going to ask, who are you, and have your pitch ready to go. Keep it short, succinct. And at that, try, if there's something about you that could differentiate you, whether it's from a leadership, whether it's from past employment in your country, or an experience or skill that you think others may not have, definitely share that. And then oftentimes they will give you their card, or you could ask for their card, and then you could send them a thank you note. Thank you email, just great meeting you, really looking forward to hearing from you. But at that point, it's really out of your control. They will reach out if they're interested, and if they're not interested, oftentimes they may not reach out, unfortunately. But that's when you continue the process, continue reaching out to alumni, continue reaching out to the employers that may not be recruiting at your university, but do traditionally recruit international students. So that's how I would go about it in that respect.
Excellent. And so in case, when everything does go well and people get an interview and their dream company is not far anymore, in front of recruiters, candidates do start to stress. What is your advice on making a success out of an interview?
Oh, so once you have that interview ready to go, do research on the company, because they're going to ask, why do you want to work here? And if you say, I love finance, like, again, how do you differentiate yourself? Maybe you could give some data point about your previous experience. People love stories. So if you could say, when I was in China or India working at Deloitte, I was able to do X, Y, and Z and decrease cost by 40%. That's what they'll remember about you, that you decrease cost by 40%. Storytelling is so important. So maybe write down your experiences beforehand and write down a long list, and then really listen during your interview. It really starts with listening. So when they ask you a question, you may not have to think which story should I tell, but you'll know which story would relate to that question. So I think that's really important. And be succinct with your answers. Don't go so long-winded. Really be succinct by answering the question they asked you. And I would go from there.
Perfect.